I'm gonna keep doing this until the sun gets its shit together. Let me mentally prepare myself to talk about this bullshit. It made me so angry. It made me so fucking angry. I picked the worst day to film because what the hell is this? What the hell is this? She's a little bitch and I can't stand that hoe. I'm sorry. Let me stop being so aggressive. Let me stop. Hey, how's it going? How's life? My name is Sophia. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I am going to be doing my July wrap up. Now, in the month of July, I read about 7-ish books, I want to say. I think I read 7 books. I don't know. But yeah. July was a pretty decent reading month in terms of quantity and quality. Kinda. I mean, I read maybe like 1 or 2 books that I genuinely hated with a passion, but I also read 2 books that were new faves of mine. But without further ado, let's get into my July wrap-up. The first book I read in the month of July is actually a new fave of mine, and that is going to be Blood Scion by Deborah Fillet. In this story, you are following our main character, 16-year-old Sloane, who is living within this oppressive empire. Within this empire, they recruit child soldiers and basically torment and abuse them. And so this story follows Sloane at... My dad just walked by the window and he gave me a heart attack. Nobody in my family knows I have a YouTube channel, so like this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun explaining. Anyhow. We are following Sloane as she is recruited to join the child army, and we're basically following her through her trials and tribulations, and the story goes from there. I love and adore this book. In terms of characters, I really enjoyed the character development. I think Deborah Fillet did an amazing job at crafting complex and nuanced characters. I will say every single character in this book is morally gray, which makes sense because they are all being forced to fight for their survival within this empire. Like, Sloane does some things in this book that are reprehensible. She does things that are like really terrible and awful, but the author doesn't try to justify the horrible and terrible things she does, because at the end of the day, she's just trying to survive. I feel like even the villains in this story have some levels of nuance to them that we don't often see in YA. The world building is incredible. I love the culture. I love the history. I love the magic system. So within this world, magic is illegal, and anybody who's caught with magic is executed along with their family. And so Sloane does have magic that she has to keep a secret, which really added to the emotional tension of this story, because I was constantly terrified of people finding out and her being tortured and killed to death. Tortured and killed to death. Killed to death. Don't judge me, English is not my first language. So like that just had me at the edge of my seat. But also you have these gods within this world, and so each individual's magic is tied to a particular god. And in this story, the gods are angry for a certain reason. The themes that this story explores are impeccable, immaculate, perfection. The author did an incredible job of exploring themes of war, trauma, generational trauma, military industrial complexes, imperialism, colonialism, child soldiers. Like, the author does a deep dive into all of these themes, and I really appreciated it. This is incredibly dark for a YA fantasy, and so as a result, the author does not hold back when exploring these themes. Like, you see the generational trauma and the torment of the people within this empire up close and personal, and there were many times where I wanted to cry, where I may or may not have shed a tear or two. But yes, this is incredible. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you haven't read it yet, I highly, 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 highly recommend. Alright, so the next book I have to talk about is another book that is a new fave for me this year, and that is going to be Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. In the story, we are following our main character Xinying, who lives on the moon with her mother, the moon goddess Chang'e. They are living in exile because Chang'e was accused of stealing the elixir of immortality from her husband. Nobody knows about Xinying's existence, and one day she has to flee the safety of her home. But before she does, she vows to free her mother from her imprisonment on the moon. And our story goes from there. I love this story. This story is the definition of perfection, and if you disagree, I hate to tell you, your opinions are wrong. But yes, I adore the character. Xinying is sweet, she's kind, she's determined, she's stubborn, she's strong, she's precious, and I love her with every fiber of my being, okay? The relationship between her and her mother, it just made my heart go boom boom. I love it so freaking much. What I love the most about their relationship is the fact that the author never tells you that these two people love each other, but like, you can tell through their actions how much they care for each other. And I love it because, like, showing and not telling is challenging for a lot of authors, but I feel like Su Lin Tan nailed it. The love triangle. If you want a love triangle done right, I highly recommend picking this up. I feel like love triangles especially have gotten stale within recent years, and there is a specific formula that every author and they mama uses every time there's a love triangle. And the formula goes like this: girl meets boy, girl falls in love with boy. By the end of the story, girl and boy can't be together. Boy goes off someplace far away. Girl meets a new boy. They fall in love. But at the end of the day, we all know that she's gonna end up with the first love interest, and that it's not really a competition. And it's that same trope I see over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, especially in fantasy with romances. Hate it. But that is not this at all. Su Lin Tan takes a tired, tried, boring trope and she makes it unique. And the angst was killing me. Like, I was not prepared for the angst. And like, because I love Xinying so much, whenever somebody did her dirty, I felt like they was doing me dirty. I'm like, you can't be disrespecting my girl like that. by the end I was feeling a crap ton of emotions because I'm just like, oh, and like I feel like, and you know the author's gonna be, yeah. Also, the writing style, perfection. What more can you want? It's the right amount of beautiful purple prose, but without being obnoxious and overbearing and dense to read. Like, this is a beautiful story to read, but it's also a very easy story to get through. And like Sulin Tan, she strikes that balance perfectly. In terms of the world building, I think that it was very incredible and well done. It's a very soft magic system, but the magic system paired with the author's writing style just made it very lush, vibrant, beautiful, and atmospheric, and I just enjoyed every second I spent within this world. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It's amazing, it's incredible, I love it. Like, what can I say? This is definitely a new fave of mine. The next 3 things I read are actually manga, and that is going to be volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Yona of the Dawn. I watched the manga several months ago and I enjoyed it, and I was intrigued to pick up the manga. In the story, you are following our main character Yona, who is the princess of this nation known as Koka. One day she witnesses a murder that leaves her traumatized, and she has to flee the castle with her bodyguard Hawk in order to save herself. And now that she is no longer a princess, she has to fight for her survival. In terms of the characters, I really can't say much because I'm only 3 volumes in, but I do enjoy most of the characters. Hawk is my favorite character. Like, he's always picking on the princess, and it's so hilarious, their relationship together. I just love their friendship, and I love how they care for each other and how he's so dedicated to protecting the princess. He's like very sassy and sarcastic, and I love those types of characters. I can't really speak much to Yona's character development in the manga, but in the anime I really do enjoy her character development. I feel like she goes from being a sheltered, privileged princess to someone who learns to stand up for herself and learns to protect the people she cares about. And I really like how the author handles Yona's PTSD. I find oftentimes whenever there's a traumatic event, authors tend to just bypass that trauma without really exploring how it affects their characters. And I feel like they did a really good job exploring that trauma with Yona's character. In terms of the world building, this story is inspired by Chinese, Korean, and Japanese history. I personally enjoy the world building. I enjoy the magic and the story of the dragons, and I'm curious to see how that ties into the rest of the story. Overall, I didn't give this a rating because I'm only 3 volumes in, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I didn't really enjoy the first couple of episodes as much as I enjoyed the rest of the season. And so I am excited to read the rest of the manga and see where this story goes. The next book I read was Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. In this story, you're following a girl, I don't even remember her name. She's kidnapped by a bunch of aliens, and I believe her and a bunch of other girls are being trafficked across the galaxy. Their ship crashes on an ice planet, and so she meets this barbarian. They fall in love and smut ensues. I was in a reading slump when I picked this up, and so I needed something fun, quick, and easy and smutty to read. In terms of the characters, I feel like all of them were the same. Like, I started reading the second book in the series, and I feel like that their personalities are very much interchangeable. Like, they don't have a unique voice. The plot was fun, but I didn't really care about the plot because I'm gonna be completely honest, I was here for alien smut. Like, the writing, fun, quick, easy, super quick to get through. So like, if you're in a reading slump and you don't mind smut, highly recommend. Overall, it was a fun time. Did I give it a rating? No. In terms of my enjoyment, it would probably be a 4-star, not gonna lie. The next book I read was actually a graphic novel called Fine Print. Alrighty, in Fine Print, we are following our main character. Don't know her name, don't care to know her name, because she was a pain in the ass and I was not fucking with her. Sorry. Also, there is this magical element to the story where you have these magical creatures, don't know what they're called, don't care to know what they're called, but they have to sign contracts with humans to either make them fall in love or give them sexual pleasure, if you will. And so I was intrigued. I was like, a world building built off of Swex? That sounds interesting. Let me see what this is about. I almost bought this with my own money. Thank God I didn't. Thank God I didn't, because I would have been pissed. I have it here in my notes that the main character's name is actually an Erica, and let me tell you, Erica is a pain in the ass and I can't stand her. So throughout this entire volume, Erica is pining over her ex-boyfriend whom she dumped. Like, you dumped this man for whatever reason, and then she spends the entire volume being pathetic and sad. And it's not like she dumped him yesterday. She dumped this guy 3 years ago. This guy has moved on. He about to get married. He living life. And here she come being a hot ass mess, talking some nonsense. And I'm just like, girl. And then Erica has like this funky idea that she can fix her man for whatever reason. And Erica is basically a pick-me. A pick-me on steroids. And every single time I saw Erica on some BS, I was like, girl, you need to stand up.
Y'all be weak in the knees. Stand up. Stand up.
This is embarrassing. This is shameful. This is giving me secondhand embarrassment. Like, get your ass up off the floor, honey.
Girl, get up. Girl, get up again. Girl, depression gotta let you go. Girl, anxiety has to lose its hold.
I don't understand her motives, because I'm just like, is the dick that good to the point where you have to be embarrassing yourself? Embarrassing. Not only are you embarrassing yourself, but you're ruining your life. You're actively ruining your life for some dick you had 3 years ago. How are you not ashamed of you? Be ashamed of who you are, because this is not cute. I'm sorry. And then the author tries to make it seem like the characters are morally gray. And you know how much I love morally gray, morally pitch black characters. I eat it up. I love me some morally gray characters. But Erica was not morally gray. She was just lacking brain cells, okay? Like, there's like this one scene where Erica is defending her friend from being bullied, and they tried to make it seem like that was like a bad thing, and like that's why she's so morally gray. And it's like, no, first of all, you were sticking up for your friend, like that's fine. and like being obsessed with a guy. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. Moving on. One of the reasons why I picked up this graphic novel is because I was intrigued by the premise and the world building. So as I stated before, sex is a major part of how magic operates within this world. So you have these magical creatures, again, I forgot their name, who have to get these humans to sign contracts. And once they sign the contracts, it's their responsibility to pleasure the human sexually. And that does something for the world. What does it do for the world? I don't know. I feel like the author just had a bunch of ideas and was just throwing a bunch of stuff out there just to see what would stick. Why these contracts are important, why is the world built off of sex, the author does not explain it at all. And if he decides to explain it in future graphic novels, I will not be picking them up, so I guess I'll never know. And it's not like I was expecting grand epic world building in the first volume, but I was expecting a little something. Like, toss me some breadcrumbs at least. Like oh my gosh. Yeah, this is a 1 star for me. I can't wait till it's time for me to do my worst books of 2022, because you already know this is going to be on it. The worst book I have ever read this year. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. So poorly written, poorly executed, poor characters, poor world building, no themes to be explored. It's just everything about it was just it just wasn't cutting it for me. After the fuckery and the foolishness that was fine print, I needed something good. I needed something to take that off of my mind, and so I decided to pick up Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. Now in this story, you are following our main character Delilah, who has a lot of trauma that she's dealing with from her childhood. She has decided to escape from this small town in order to move to New York. Delilah's sister is getting married and she has been hired to be the photographer. Delilah goes back to this small town. She meets her sister's childhood friend and romance ensues. This was perfect. I think like this is like the first contemporary romance that I've read where I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is cute, this is precious, it gives me life, I need more of this. And it's sapphic. Like, oh, like it just checks all my boxes. In terms of the characters, I love Delilah Green. She is a baddie, okay? She's an artistic baddie. She's very sassy, very quick-witted. She always has something to say, but like on the inside, she's a softie and all she wants is love and affection. Girl, it's plain to see that you're the only one for me. I also really liked the way the author explored Delilah's trauma. I think that the author took a lot of time and care to explore how things in her childhood affects Delilah today, and I thought it was just so well done. Claire, on the other hand, is the exact opposite of Delilah. She's very studious, she's very responsible. She's also the mother of a preteen daughter, which isn't something I read a lot about. And like, their pairing was just so cute and precious. Claire is also very shy, where Delilah is very outgoing. Claire is very reserved and Delilah is very boisterous, and so like that dichotomy is just perfection in my humble opinion. The smut was a fun time. In my humble opinion, there wasn't enough smut, but it was enough to keep me fed. Enjoyed it for the most part. Overall, I had a really fun time with this story. Can't wait to read the second book in the series, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. that is the end of my July wrap-up. This video was a pain in the ass to film. I apologize for the lighting, but what can you do? If you've reached the end of the video, feel free to comment down below. Let me know some of the books you guys read in the month of July. If you've reached the end of the video, feel free to leave me a star emoji. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope to see you guys soon with another video, and until then, I will see you soon. Bye!